All right, Committee on Finance and Law will come to order. I note that there is an absence of a quorum, so there will not be any votes taken tonight. We will, on advice of council, conduct this more or less as a public hearing on our items, and then present a report to the council, to the school committee without a vote, and ask the committee to vote it up and down. First of all, there's nothing on the student activities line. The first real item of business is disposal of surplus materials, the furniture from East Taunton Elementary School. Mrs. Moynihan.
As you can see that the disposal of surplus, which is estimated under $5,000, coming from East Taunton Elementary School, where we have gray and black student desks, and we have about 50 of them. And so, again, this is in our trailer. And also at East Taunton Elementary, we have adult office chairs with no wheels, so they're a little bit fair in condition. And also student desks, combos, pictures are also included. These are older as well. There's only 3 of those. And then we have additional tables, student chair items, and student desk items, computer desk items, navy blue and chrome chair items, small trapezoid tables, large trapezoid tables, and as you can see, many of these are very old, wood easels. And lastly, for East Taunton Elementary, a walk-behind scrubber that is very old, again from 1997. All items are listed with their current value, quantity, and pictures of the surplus items.
I love hearing things in the East Taunton Elementary School being described as very old, because I was on the city council that built that building. Mrs. Fagan was on the school committee for that. Of course, I also note that tonight begins my 30th year in public elected office, so we know time has marched on. All right, so do we have any, I know we've changed the process a bit because we're including the city's procurement officer now too, but have we had any interest expressed in any of these items?
So we have prior ones that we did have, the textbooks. They are being donated to the Portuguese school at Taunton Sports Club, so they are taking those textbooks. The other ones, other surplus items that we were brought to the school committee a few weeks ago, those have been brought to the procurement officer. I just heard from him today that he's going to take some revised pictures and post them on the surplus website to see if we'll be able to get any money for them to be sold.
Yeah, I mean, I would think there'd be a lot of interest, and I mean, a lot of people like to have individual school desks at home, and some nice computer and other kinds of desks too, but, in case anybody asks, I'd like to know, but, yeah, I understand that the procurement officer is going to get it, but we also have a policy of investigating if there's any use for things. And I have to agree that unlike textbooks, furniture is a little bit hard to I mean, the places that have the Portuguese language schools, they're accommodating something from other uses, and really can't use capital stuff, but I don't know. All right, now, next item is we have a couple of donations of conference tuitions, essentially. You want to go over those?
This is for our pre-K to 12 STEM curriculum director, Elizabeth Pulowski. She has been working with Open SciEd, and the standards work team did come to Taunton Public Schools last year to observe Open SciEd in our schools. And what the donation is for Elizabeth Pulowski to go ahead to travel to and from California, and having all expenses, hotel and food, would be funded by standards work. So this is, of course, an excellent opportunity to elevate and promote the work that Taunton Public Schools is doing in a national level. And so you will see that right there listed, the estimated value as of December 27th, 2022.
All right.
Sorry, the next donation is, the next donation to Taunton Public Schools is another membership with Nexus Academy, which supports the science curriculum leadership. And participating in this national organization was facilitated by our K-12 Director of STEM, Ms. Elizabeth Pawlowski. And this year's Winters Conference is going to be held in Dallas during the week of February 15th through the 18th. And once again, Taunton Public Schools has been invited to attend. The organization will be donating via their reimbursement process the following: airfare, airport parking, ground transportation to and from the airport, baggage fees, lodging, and any meals that are not provided by the organization. And this team, Taunton's team participating in this conference is Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, Chris Barata, Elizabeth Pawlowski, Jordan Valois, Tanya Bransky, and Ann Gigliamo, which is teachers at Taunton High School and also at Friedman Middle School. And again, donation is listed right below the memo.
All right. It's also nice to see that these conferences are taking place in warmer climates, so probably more, although I should say traditionally warmer climates, because obviously Dallas and even parts of California have had some climate change problems in recent years, but they're probably going to be more seasonable in February than we are. So
Absolutely.
hopefully they'll be able to travel. They won't have the complications that occurred at Christmas time. All right, then next on the agenda we have two bills payable warrants, fiscal 22 in the amount of $2,032.47, fiscal 23 in the amount of $705,503.12. I'd note that out-of-district tuitions for special ed are involved in the warrants, among other things, and that increases it. And then I guess it'd be in order to, well, first, is there anything else that the administration wants to bring forward? In that case, we'll adjourn this session and we'll report out at the regular school committee meeting.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first school committee meeting of 2023. I call the meeting to order. If you could please join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Mrs. Fagan, if you could lead us in prayer.
Lord, as we begin this session, let us acknowledge your goodness and mercy and ask your blessings on all our deliberations. We thank you for this opportunity to be of service to our community and to the young people entrusted to our care. And before I do the roll call, we'd like to have a moment of silence for 3 individuals associated with the Taunton Public Schools. The first is Sheila A. Prochnick, who passed away December 28th at the age of 83, was a longtime teacher at the Elizabeth Pole Elementary School, who truly loved the children she taught, and in her spare time was able to tutor any child she could help. Her faith and her family came first. She is survived by her children, two children, 8 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren, and our thoughts and prayers are with her. And Lucille E. Morin Boris, who passed away on December 31st at the age of 89. She was the mother of 6 children, 10 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. I guess the benefits of a long life is you get to see a lot of those kids and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. She worked as a cook in the Taunton Public Schools for more than 35 years, mostly at Hopewell Elementary. I had a couple of kids go there. I probably did know who she was, but I haven't seen her in a long time. But she was also an avid supporter of the American Cancer Society Relays for Life and the Westville Women's Club, and she truly enjoyed spending time with her family. And the last one is James Buffington. For those of you that know him, he was a firefighter in Taunton. He was also the father of Jason Buffington, who was the city attorney who passed away a couple of years ago. He leaves his wife, Maureen, and his son, Peter, and 8 grandchildren. But he was also really involved in the community work. He'd been in the Navy, but he worked for the city department, fire department for 32 years, Taunton Fish and Game Club. He was a member of the Taunton Lodge of Elks. And he was also a baseball coach at the Taunton West Little League and in Babe Ruth. And I'm sure had many fun hours with our own Mr. Faulkner at the Taunton Boys and Girls Club, where he coached floor hockey. Our prayers go out to all these individuals, and please keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Have a moment of silence for them, please. Thank you. I would like to also mention one thing. His wife, Maureen, was a longtime member of TESSA, the Taunton Education Secretaries, and she was a teaching assistant also. So thank you very much for your thoughts and prayers.
Thank you, Mrs. Fagan.
Okay. And roll call. Mr. Polowski.
Present.
Mr. Fiore.
Present.
Mrs. Fagan's present. Mr. Laura.
Present.
Mr. George.
Present.
Mr. Vieira.
Present.
And Mayor O'Connell.
Present. Okay, then we have the Student Advisory Committee report, and Isaiah Windle is here with us this evening, who is also a member of the newly formed Taunton Youth Commission. Welcome, Isaiah.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Isaiah Windle, and as Mayor O'Connell said, I am part of the Taunton High School Advisory Committee. There's a lot of different things going on in Taunton High School right now, all good, of course. We're back from break. Our winter sports have continued to, we've continued our winter sport tryouts and everything. Teams are formed. Tomorrow, we begin DECA districts. Later this month, the semester is closing for the first semester, so we're almost halfway through the school year. Class recommendations are going in to guidance to get us set up for next school year. We have staff at house lobbies, checking the bathrooms, making sure students are where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be. College acceptance letters are coming in for our seniors, and we've casted our first school play of the year recently, and it's all great things that are happening at Taunton High, and I'm hoping that it goes well for everybody involved in these things. I'm very excited that we're halfway through the school year, and That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaiah. So it sounds like the 2023 is off to a good start. So thank you for joining us.
Mayor O'Connell, his grandmother also came tonight to
Oh,
see him,
well, welcome.
to see her grandson, so. yeah.
Oh, well, so exciting, so
It's
nice
good
of
to
you to
hear.
be
Thank
here.
you.
He's done a wonderful job. Thank you, Isaiah. Okay, is there any public input this evening? There's no public input this evening. Okay, thank you.
Mr. DeMello, Dr. DeMello asked that I read this anyway. Is that gonna, I'll go real quick.
Oh, you can read if you want. There's
Okay.
no public input, so
I
I don't
understand, yeah, I
generally,
know, but he
you
likes to
feel
remind
free.
the public what they have to do. So, in accordance with the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 39, Section 32C, we kindly request that individuals wishing to provide public input sign up in advance. A copy of the regulation and guidelines will be provided upon sign-up, and individuals will be asked to state their name and address for the record. The amount of time each registered individual will have to speak will be determined by the number of people who sign the register and will be announced prior to the start of the public input portion of the meeting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We have the capital improvement plan update next. Superintendent Cabral?
Thank you, Mayor O'Connell. So as we have grown accustomed to on an annual basis, we provide the school committee and the public with an update on our capital improvement plan. Assistant Superintendent Brenda Moynihan has been working very diligently with her staff, our principals in the schools, to identify those areas that have been completed as part of our comprehensive capital improvement plan, and also to identify new areas or new items that need to be added to our capital improvement plan. Prior to this meeting, I was very pleased to have a conversation with Patrick Delarusso, the CFO for the city, and to discuss how we can work jointly together with the city's capital improvement plan and incorporate the school department's capital improvement plan so that we have one comprehensive capital improvement plan for the community, which I think will be very beneficial both on the school and on the city side, and as always, for the constituents in the city of Taunton. So Mrs. Moynihan and I look forward to that partnership and continuing this work, as this is a document that we are very proud of. And as you look through the thicker of the two documents, so Mrs. Moynihan will spend the majority of the time on the PowerPoint presentation, which will highlight the new items added to the plan. But I would ask that as you have and continue to do so, go through the nearly 100-page document, and you'll see over nearly a 10-year period the items that we have addressed both as a city and as a school department to make sure that we have facilities that are conducive to learning, state-of-the-art, and that are welcoming and inviting not only to the students, the staff, the members of our community, but I continue to be very pleased when I have people from outside of Taunton visiting our city, visiting our school system, and always commenting and marveling at the great facilities that we have here in Taunton. So it is something to be envied. It's a lot of work, and it does take a partnership with the schools and the city. So without further ado, I'll let Mrs. Moynihan, Assistant Superintendent Moynihan, walk you through the PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you, Superintendent Cabral. As Superintendent Cabral did mention, there is a thicker document that is something that you do not want me to go through, as it is over about 100 pages, but this PowerPoint will reflect some of the new items that have been added compared to the last presentation that I did last year. So the facility overview, of course, what we want is our students to flourish within an environment that includes safe, well-maintained, and aesthetically pleasing in all of our schools. So what happens is we usually identify and request repairs to the buildings and the grounds. So this initiative is mostly with district protocols, maintenance repair logs, and that's what you hear when I mention in a few minutes is facility dude, and also the maintenance of grounds log, where our groundskeepers will log in items that need to be fixed, either by the city or by our groundskeepers throughout the school year. Facility overview, it's some of the current conditions of our building, the maintaining and replacement of equipment, and also preventative building maintenance, and that will be all reflected in this PowerPoint. So, district-wide protocols. At the beginning of every school year, my office will send out a memo to all principals and head custodians to notify the process to identify if there's any issues in our buildings. And that includes emergency contact lists. Now, this year, we do have a new school Director of Facilities who has been helping along with the facilities piece. So in this maintenance repair log, our head custodians will enter any work issues that is happening in our buildings, whether it be electrical, plumbing, into Facility Dude. This Facility Dude is a software that we have been using in combination with the city departments since 2013. So just so you know, in the school year of July 2021 through June of 2022, the building department does go ahead and service 57 buildings throughout our city, which includes our schools. And in this school year, 2,393 work orders were entered, while TPS occupied about 1,600 of those work orders. So a part of 67% of the building department's work between plumbing, electrical, and construction is coming through by our school department. Maintenance logs. We do have our daily check-ins with our groundskeepers. What they do is groundskeepers are assigned schools, and they check in with their buildings principals to see if there's any items that need to be addressed, or again, just to maintain the appearance of our buildings. So the first school that we're going to look at is the Benjamin Friedman Middle School. This school was constructed in 2001, and the grades are housed are grades 5 through 7. So the areas of need by priority currently, the new, what number one priority at Friedman would be is the main entrance awning needs to be reconfigured. Snow, ice, and water collect at that beginning of the entrance, and it does, especially when it gets icy. It gets very dangerous, and we must go ahead and consistently salt and sand to make sure there are no slips. They do want to update the intercom surveillance buzz-in system, and that is something that is on the radar of our technology director, Carolyn Blano. The courtyard, there are some drainage and bricks that need replacement. Again, that's something that our groundskeepers can do. And the surveillance camera enhancements. All of our schools do have cameras outside of the building, and some schools are now beginning inside of the building. Taunton High School, of course, having the most cameras in the district, but again, this school is requesting additional camera enhancements. The next school is Edmund Hatch Bennett Elementary School. Now, this school was constructed in 1968. We have 2 custodians at that school, and this school was part of the MSBA Accelerated Repair Program in 2014. And as you can see in that program, there was a new roof that was done, also a new windows that were done through the MSBA program. What the areas of need in this school, the first one is resurface and seal coat front and the rear parking lots. Now again, we have some great parking lots, but you must continue to maintain them to keep those to be in good quality and not having those potholes. The second one is the gym floor replacement, and having that would be beneficial to even increase additional groups in the city to rent out that facility. And what is desperately needed too is the septic system at Bennett Elementary needs replacement. East Taunton Elementary School is the next school. This school houses grades pre-K to 4, and they were constructed in 1997. What happens here for a priority, the first one is the active roof leaks, defective asphalt roof system that has gone ahead and significantly been blown off due to high winds. But the city has been working with our roof vendor and has been pretty much almost finished this project. So that's going to be right off of our capital improvement plan for next year. We are in need of an ADA compliant playground at that school, and then also an awning attached to the building or seating with built-in canopies for students to enjoy recess in shaded areas, as we have 2 different areas at East Taunton Elementary where the children go ahead and play. The one thing that I just do want to say that the fire alarm was replaced last year due to water damage, so that has also been updated. Edward F. Letty Preschool. This school is only pre-K students, and here the building was constructed in 1954. The first one that is needed for priority is a replacing of the basement window coverings, and then replace ceiling tiles in hallways in principal's office. Just so you know, too, the roof, intercom, and phone system were all replaced in March 2018 when we had a pretty significant storm where all of those 3 items were damaged and needed to be replaced. But again, if you look at that, for the age of the building where there are only 2 items that are really needed, it's pretty impressive that our schools have been maintained and the quality that is still going along in our schools. Elizabeth Pole Elementary School, which also houses the some of the central offices. This building here is grades K to 4. It was constructed in 2008. Areas of need of priority, they need to replace our playground. The playground has aged. There is parts that really can't be played upon, and sometimes the kids are a little too big to play. And again, every child is a kid at heart and even adult. So that is definitely something that needs to be fixed. Installing ceiling fans in the cafeteria and gym, which would be very helpful. Currently, we purchase big, tall ceiling fans to help circulate the air in the hotter days. Replace the cracked tiles in the main lobby. I do know that they were here during break looking at some of the tiles to replace them, so that is definitely a work in progress. We've begun to install blinds, even in our building where there were classrooms that didn't have any blinds, but we'd like to continue and install blinds in the cafeteria. And also to replenish and seal coat our gymnasium. Our gymnasiums in many of our schools are used by area community organizations, so we do want to maintain our gym for our students, but also the community use. Harold H. Galligan Elementary School, again, a K to 4 school, constructed in 1954. The MSBA Accelerated Repair Program, we participated in 2014, where there was the roof was replaced, and last year we began the replacement of the windows and the boilers, and doors. But unfortunately, due to supply chain issues, I hate saying that sentence all the time, but due to supply chain issues, we've moved our the window repair project to this summer coming up of 2023. Some of the things, again, number 1, windows, boilers, and doors. The boiler has been complete and has been fired up and has been working properly. Again, the doors and windows will be replaced this summer. They are in need of a modular classroom because, of course, the building is small, but our need is great with a number of students in that building. Upgrade the playground. Seal coat the parking lot, and they need some restroom enhancements on the 2nd floor. Hopewell School, as we all know, it is closed, and it was closed in June of 2020. James L. Mulcahy Elementary School, that was the MSBA core repair program where we have pre-K to 4. It was constructed in 2019. Its total square footage is over 119,000 square feet on 24 acres with 860 students, 119 staff, and 5 custodians. And that building is still, the project is still open, so we do have a few things that are still being looked at by the OPM. John F. Parker Middle School, grades 5 through 7, constructed in 2009. And it's, again, a wonderful building, still very little need of anything to be, again, this is saying that the work of our custodians and the city department working together to maintain our facilities. They'd like to install air conditioning in the library, gym floor replacement, and also a green space area, play area for the students, and also to be used for the community after school. Joseph Chamberlain Elementary School, again, it's a pre-K to 4, constructed in 1999, where we have over 460 students. The areas of need by priority, the first one is active roof leaks. And as you know, if you have a home, sometimes chasing a roof leak is very, very difficult. But they are working on that, and the city is consistently working with their vendor. Replace broken blinds in classrooms. Again, we are doing that as we go through the year. We need to update their playground and also repair the dumpster enclosure, which I believe is just about done. So some of those items will be off the list for next year. Joseph H. Martin Middle School, grades 5 through 7. Joseph H. Martin was a part of the MSBA Accelerated Repair Program in 2014, where the roof, windows, and doors were replaced. And just so you know that in 2020, we replaced the unit ventilators in the school, where now, again, that was something that was very important due to the age of the building, which was constructed in 1976. Areas of need by priority. The first one is paving and striping all asphalt areas. We did buy some striping machines for our groundskeepers, and they have learned to do so. So that will be a cost savings for us. So again, that is something that they've begun doing in our schools. They'd like to convert the old tennis courts to a multi-purpose play area, and then update the building alarm system. Taunton Alternative High School. It was, of course, it is our alternative high school. It was constructed in 1924, but renovated in 2004. We have about just under 100 students, and this building was under the accelerated repair program in 2020, where we received a new roof and windows as well. Some of the items in need of priority. The first one is the inefficient heating, because it's only one zone in that building. It's the unfinished third floor level, replacing of the roof flashing that was blown off of the roof, and then additional parking area for students and staff, because again, that's a very small area for parking. Taunton High School. Taunton High School is grades 8 through 12. It's constructed in 1975 with a renovation completed in 2011 and 2012. It is on 88 acres, which encompasses also Parker and E-Pole, where we have over 2,700 students, 242 staff, and 15 custodians. Area of needs by priority, security camera upgrades. As we know, technology is constantly changing, so we do need to change some and upgrade some of our cameras. There is a need for a walk-in freezer cooler for the Culinary Arts Department, and that was brought to school committee by Darla Hartung and Mike Raposa. A patio for Tiger Den to increase for an outside dining for our Tiger Den. Install a new playground for Tiger Tots, because currently we really have just like those step one plastic units for kids to play. Upgrade the flooring in the main office areas, guidance, and library. Replace all water fountains with touchless water filling stations, and that is starting to be, this project is still starting to be done by the plumbers from the city. Put a UV film for all exterior windows and doors, and install an art spray booth with ventilation. Taunton Public Schools for the athletic department. Areas of need by priority, we have the installation of lights at the baseball field, at the new turf field. Again, if we do install our lighting out there, that would increase for, of course, playing at night, and also other leagues coming in and using our field as well. To create a multi-purpose turf practice field with lights. Again, that has been part of our athletic plan. Upgrade the softball field and dugouts. And then outdoor seating and tables near the field house entrance, where kids go in and out for the locker rooms and going out to the field. We currently are in the Hockomock League, and we do participate in fall, winter, and spring sports, and they are there listed for you. Taunton Public Schools, the Food Services Department. It's amazing how many lunches and breakfasts the staff members do produce in all of our school. It's amazing, and all the little kids helping out for breakfast in the classroom. But the area of need by priority for the Food Services Department, the first one is replacing the serving lines at Galligan. They install these ultra pure guard wall coverings at Bennett. Continue to upgrade equipment and serving lines throughout the district, and replacing serving lines, custom-built ones for Taunton High School. Taunton High School's technology department, which of course will go ahead and support all of our school. Areas of priority, the first thing is we're moving from landlines to VoIP upgrades, and the remaining two schools are Chamberlain and Bennett, which are currently being cut over to VoIP. Upgrade the surveillance cameras at the alternative high school. The third one is to begin the installation of additional surveillance cameras at East Taunton Elementary School, Chamberlain, Pole, Galligan, and Bennett. install new door surveillance fob systems for all of our school, Pole, East Taunton, Chamberlain, Galligan, Bennett, Friedman, Martin, Taunton Alternative High School, and Leddy, where we will be able to use our fobs, our IDs as our fobs. Our grounds. Areas of priority, the first thing is that we need to continue to resurfacing our parking lots and roadways throughout the district. Replace a 20-year-old pickup truck that is on its last leg. Curbing the repair and replacement, of course, that happens mostly in the wintertime and wear and tear. And additional parking at Leddy Preschool. We currently have 3 groundskeepers, and each of the groundskeepers are assigned to a school, and sometimes you will see 2 groundskeepers working together, especially at our larger buildings. Our storekeepers. Right now, we do have a storekeeper. They are in charge of mail pickup, delivery within our schools, city hall pickup and deliveries. They deliver supplies to schools, and they maintain the supply inventory in our warehouse. The priority number 1 is to purchase a box truck with a liftgate, because of course sometimes it's very difficult to bring in some supplies to our schools. And then purchase an inventory management system. And our storekeeper currently is in the process of vetting out a few of them and should be having a recommendation to my office by the end of the month. So, facility overview. So what are our next steps? We're going to refer these items to the long-range planning committee, where we can go and identify which items are to be more of a priority. We're going to work with our school committee and principals to identify which capital improvements should be short-term, which is the next school year, and which should be long-term. And then, most importantly, we're going to be beginning to building our vestibules in our schools to add another added layer of security to our buildings, which was approved by the school committee earlier this school year. And that is it. Any questions?
Mrs. Fagan?
Hi. Thanks, Mrs. Moynihan, for that great update. A couple of things. Martin School, the roof that they had put on a few years ago, which was like some grass up there, has that been redone, or what's going on with that?
I don't believe it has, but there has not been any problems. I don't want to say that, knock on wood substitute, but as of right now, things are okay at Martin.
Okay, and when you talk about building vestibules, what are you talking about?
So if you go to Mulcahy, and you go into, and you enter in the building, you are pretty much locked in that area and must be checking in with the,
Oh, you mean the space between the outside door and the
yes,
inside? Okay.
exactly. Some of our schools have an easier way to build upon them, and others need to be built a little bit more.
Okay, thank you.
Any other? Mr. Laura?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As far as the HVAC, the electrical, the maintenance process, once you spend X amount of dollars to upgrade a system or a school, the maintenance is continuous through the city employees, or
Correct.
is it both city and our employees?
It's actually both, because majority of it, well, when we were going amongst the pandemic, we had all of our schools tested to make sure that we provided the needed air exchange units per hour. So wherever there was not that air exchange, we put air purifiers in the classrooms and in offices. And then the filters are replaced by the city's HVAC staff, but also some schools' custodians will assist in replacing them. But yes, there is a consistent replacing and updating by the city's HVAC system.
And do we also contract any private companies to assist in the process? Let's say if the system is complicated and you need an outside source.
That would be done by the city. So if the city personnel, like again, if you're talking about the HVAC system, and the gentleman feels that they need assistance, additional assistance, I'm sure they will go to the mayor and the mayor's office to see if they need, whatever it would be. But as of right now, in the 5 years that I've been here, it's been taken care of very nicely with, reaching out to the vendors and asking for questions or updates. So it has been a very good working relationship.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions by the members? No. I just have one quick question. So is this plan, is there a funding piece also?
Sure, if you
Or
look
a
at the,
cost piece, I guess.
if you look at the extensive piece, the big plan itself, you'll see that there are some costs that are there and their possible funding sources, again, city or schools, but yes, they are all included in the larger document.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Superintendent Cabral?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I just want to thank Mrs. Moynihan, or Assistant Superintendent Moynihan, for her extensive work in developing the PowerPoint and the comprehensive capital improvement plan. And I also just want to continue to remind the public and the school board, and I think about our late dear friend Joseph Martin, who always believed that a dollar spent on preventative maintenance today will save us several dollars in maintenance costs down the road. So the work that we've done, as Mrs. Moynihan has alluded to, is done in conjunction and in collaboration with the city. We understand that the city, in many cases, has bared the brunt of the cost when it comes to the accelerated repair projects and when it comes to the core projects, which has resulted in new schools. And that's why the Taunton Public Schools, we've done, I believe, our fair share with regards to preventative maintenance, whether it's purchasing the filters that the HVAC maintenance staff install in our schools, whether it's hiring a painting crew to come by and paint all our doors so that our doors won't rust through. So we continue to work very collaboratively with our partners on the city side to make sure that if there's something that we can pick up on the school side, like in a baseball field, a football turf, knowing that the city would have to bond those funds, and if that's something that we can do, then we'll continue to have that working relationship, knowing that the city has invested millions into accelerated repair projects, into core building projects. So for that, I want to thank Madam Mayor and her predecessors and the current administration for all the support they provided the school department, to our students and to our staff, and we look forward, while I'm serving as superintendent and Mrs. Moynihan as assistant superintendent, we'll continue to do our fair share of preventative maintenance to make sure that these facilities continue to shine for many, many years to come.
Thank you, Mr. Cabral. Mr. Fiore?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One favorable trade-off as our schools are getting older is they may be requiring more and more maintenance, but on the other hand, the bond issues that built them are getting paid down, and so that eventually increases the city's capacity to fund some of the repairs, because oftentimes in really big situations, there's a new bond issue for it.
Well, we wouldn't necessarily use that capacity for that purpose, but we'll certainly talk about that when the time comes. Okay, anything else?
Is
Mr.
it
Viera.
a motion in order to refer the plan to the long-range planning subcommittee? Okay. All right.
Second that.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, so voted.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have superintendent's goals.
So typically, this is the time where I would provide you with my superintendent's update, but because of the short turnaround, having the holiday break, and this being the first meeting of the new year, when you do the math, we only have 11 more school committee meetings. When you think about all the work we have to get done between now and the end of the school year, 11 meetings really isn't a lot of time. So these next 11 meetings are going to really be jam-packed or full of a lot of information, especially when we dive into budget season. So I thought I would use this opportunity to provide you with my new goals, which are 3-year goals. And I know we're halfway through the year, but I used part of the break and time before the break to put together 3-year goals that touch upon the 4 areas by which the school committee evaluates me. So the first area is instructional leadership, which is standard 1. And you'll notice that there are 3-year goals, and these are goals that I will be sharing and that I've shared with the leadership team, and these are goals that I will be sharing with our principals regarding instructional leadership and the fact that for fiscal '23, we currently have 2 schools that are in the bottom 10% in the state of Massachusetts. So for fiscal '23, the goal will be to have no schools in the bottom 10% in the state of Massachusetts. For fiscal '24, the goal will be to have every school 15% or higher when it comes to the accountability status. And for fiscal '25, it'll be to have every school 20% or higher when it comes to our accountability status, which will ultimately mean no schools in the bottom 10%. I'm not going to bore you with all the MCAS data, but you will also see that I have built in graduation goals, which currently 92.3% of our students are graduating from Taunton High School. The goal for fiscal '25 will be to have 95% of our students graduating. For graduation for low income will be to increase from 88.3, which is our current percentage, to 92.5 by fiscal '25. And for students with disabilities, currently it's 81.1. The goal will be to have that number up to 90%. For our African-American student population, from 90% to 93.5%. And for our Hispanic Latino population, will be to increase from 92.4 to 94%. I've also provided you with some professional growth goals, which I believe I've shared with you in the past. And I've also provided you with our MCAS targets. So if you go from page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, you have MCAS targets where you see where we currently are for fiscal '22 and where I project or where our targets will be for fiscal '25 with relationship to the MCAS. The goal will be to be equal or to exceed the state level. As an urban district, that is a very high standard, and that is a standard that I am committed to, the leadership team is committed to, and that is also a standard that we'll be working with our principals. And again, I provided you with all the data. If you have any questions now or at a future meeting, I'd be happy to review these goals with you. And if we need to schedule some time in my office or on a Saturday check-in, I'd be happy to review our MCAS goals. But again, we want to increase our meeting and exceeding while dropping our not meeting the MCAS targets for the Taunton Public Schools. And again, those targets are not set by me. Those targets are set by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. For Standard 2, which is Management and Operations, so for fiscal '23, our goal will be to complete a long-range plan for facilities and grounds. So that is work that Assistant Superintendent Moynihan and I will be undergoing with the Long-Range Planning Committee. For fiscal '23, we also want to develop a 5-year budget forecast that will account or take into account Chapter 70 projections, city appropriation projections, and also our fixed costs: salary, special education tuition, transportation, utilities, contracted services, supplies, and maintenance. We also will have a forecast on net school spending to make sure that we are always over 100% and do not fall into deficit by going under 100%. We also want to develop a comprehensive maintenance plan for fiscal '24, and by fiscal '25, the goal will be to relocate central office under one roof where all departments can be functioning and operating together under one roof or one department, versus how we constantly constituted, where we're spread out or scattered throughout the district. For Standard 3, which is Family and Community Engagement, something that I've been focusing a lot of my time and energy is looking at our MCAS vocal data, because that really tells a story. And you'll see on page 12, where you'll see our student attendance goals, but I'll also share with you what I believe our vocal data should be at by fiscal '25. The state states that 50% is the target. Our goal is going to be 60% or higher by fiscal '25. For student attendance, by fiscal '25, we'll have student attendance back to 93%, where we were pre-COVID. And we want to reduce our chronically absent students who are absent 10% or more by 15% by fiscal '25. And we want to reduce our chronically absent students who are absent 20% or more to 5% by fiscal '25. And we also want to make sure that we have preschool programs in our 5 elementary schools. We currently have programs at Leddy, so we can check that box. We will work to have programs here at Elizabeth Pole. We have a program at East Taunton. We want to add a second. James Mulcahy has 3, and Chamberlain currently has 1, and we want to add a second there. So that is our goal by fiscal '25. And then I provided you with some of my professional growth goals, which were covered during my evaluation. For our attendance data, again, that's reflected on page 12. And on page 13, I provided you with our trajectory or our targets for fiscal '23, fiscal '24, and fiscal '25 with relationship to our vocal data. Vocal measures school climate, participation and engagement, student safety, and instructional environment. And this is all data collected from students when they complete the MCAS, I believe in grades 3 through 8. Thank you, Mr. Barata. You'll notice at the bottom that Taunton Alternative High School is not part of this list because Taunton Alternative High School does not have enough students to warrant a group that would qualify. I believe the cutoff is 40 students is what they need in order to be considered a group. And on page 14, professional culture goals. We want to finalize the strategic plan. So we have the first two bullets. The goals and strategic initiatives have been completed. We will work on the district outcomes. So I hope to have that wrapped up by the end of this fiscal year. For fiscal '24, so as soon as July 1st begins, I'm gonna conduct another entry plan. So I'm gonna meet with all the stakeholders again, because there've been many new stakeholders, and we're gonna take a look at what we've accomplished over the last 5 years, and take another look at where we need to be in the next 5 years, and if we need to make revisions to our strategic plan, we'll make revision to our strategic plan. Our strategic plan is a dynamic document, which means it is a living document that if it needs to be modified, it will be modified. It's not gonna be a document that just sits on a shelf and comes out every 5 years. Mr. Barata and I will be working with our principals to develop, and our department heads and our leadership team, to develop a comprehensive professional development plan. These were the 4 key areas that were identified during my entry work: diversity, equity, and inclusion, culturally responsive education, social emotional learning, and the use of data to drive instruction. And our comprehensive professional development plan, once it's completed, will be shared and presented to the full committee. And last but not least, my professional goal, which will start in March, will be to obtain my sheltered immersion endorsement, which that work will be completed on Mondays from 4 to 7 through, I believe, a asynchronous course that I will take. So those are my goals for the next 3 years. And again, if you have any questions now, I'd be happy to answer them. If it's something that you wish to revisit, someone can make a motion that we can add this to a future agenda, or we can discuss this offline.
Thank you, Superintendent Cabral. Okay, if there's no comments or questions, we can move on to item F, which is,
Would there be a motion to accept and place on?
Oh, you need
Motion
a
to accept the report?
Thank you.
motion and a second? Was there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, so voted. Thank you. Administrative business, is there any action on the staffing report?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, so voted. Subcommittee reports, Finance and Law Subcommittee, Mr. Fiore?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Finance and Law Committee came together, shall we say, this evening. There was an absence of a quorum, and so the business was conducted by way of a public hearing, and we'll be asking that the actual votes to approve things be taken by the entire committee. First of all, we were presented with disposal of surplus materials. There's a lot of furniture from East Taunton Elementary School that's getting to be about 25 years old now, and has been replaced, and looking to dispose of it. The plan now is to work through the procurement officer to identify items that could be put on a website for a possible resale or donation places. Then we discussed there were 2 donations from Standard Works and West Ed. These were tuitions to conferences that these institutions were conducting for STEM and science education for leadership staff. Mrs. Pulowski is going to be going to both of them, and the West Ed one is going to have a team from the science department. And then there were 2 bills payable warrants. One was for fiscal '22 in the amount of $2,032.47. So just a few items on that. And then current fiscal '23 in the amount of $705,503.12. And then we adjourned the hearing. So I would make a motion that the actions be of the administration that were presented here be approved, that the bills payable warrants be approved, and that the recommendation is that all of this be adopted.
So moved.
Is there a motion made and seconded? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, so voted. Oh, and one present. Thank you. Okay, there is no new business listed. So we go on to unfinished business. The first one is evaluation of the superintendent of schools, and I understand that will be put on a future agenda?
Yeah, that's just a placeholder as when Mrs. Devine, the administrative assistant for the school committee, is in the process of calibrating and collecting all the information for Mrs. Fagan and Mr. DeMello to get together and synthesize it into one comprehensive document. So that's ongoing.
Okay, thank you. So do you want to just take the next four? 'Cause I think
I'd be happy
those are
to.
yours. Yeah.
So regarding teacher vacancies, so based on the feedback that I received at the last meeting, I wanted to provide the school committee with a little more information regarding our vacancies. So currently, as currently constituted when it comes to TEA vacancies, there are 661 TEA vacancies. And we currently have 661 TEA positions, or teaching positions, and we currently have 7 vacancies, which means we are fully staffed to the tune of 98.9%. So we have 7 vacancies. One is an ESL position, and that is a district position, an itinerant position. It is 1 full-time equivalent. The hiring manager is the EL director, and that position was recently posted on December 21st because the person who was hired back in September left Taunton for another position in in a neighboring district. So currently, there are 8 applicants. Of the 8 applicants, 3 were interviewed, but they declined the position, and there are 2 more applicants that are going to be interviewed before the end of the week, so we hope to have a recommendation and have that position filled shortly. We have a sub-separate position, which is also a district and itinerant position. Again, that is 1 full-time equivalent. The hiring manager is a special education director and the principal, and that position has been posted and refreshed 6 times, the last time being January 4th, and there is a total of 1 applicant. The applicant has not been interviewed because they are not licensed, but the classroom is currently that position is currently being filled by a licensed retired teacher. Regarding our library media specialist, which is a position that's proven to be more difficult to fill because of the requirements that we wrote into the job description. So that is a district itinerant position. We currently have 2 vacancies. The principals are working on filling those positions. That position has been refreshed several times, I believe 3, with the last time being refreshed December 19th. There have been a total of 20 applicants, and there are 2 applicants that are currently being interviewed for the 2 remaining positions. So we hope to have those filled. Speech and language pathologist, which is a district and itinerant position. We have 1 FTE, full-time equivalent. The hiring manager is a special education director and the principal. That position has been refreshed 4 times. There are currently 2 applicants. 1 applicant has withdrew their application. The other applicant is not licensed. So we are currently reaching out to get the status on, or get updated status on refreshing that position. But we do have a certified sub in the position, and as we have contracted with a retiree. We have a preschool position that is vacant at the Leddy Preschool. The principal is the hiring manager. That position has been refreshed every 2 weeks. There are currently 3 applicants. There have been no interviews conducted at this time because the individuals who applied do not hold the appropriate license. The building sub who is assigned to that building is working in the classroom and is also working towards receiving her degree later this month. So we may have the building sub taken over as the full-time teacher. We have a grade 6 special educator at the Martin Middle School. That is a 1 full-time equivalent. The special education director and the principal are the hiring managers. That position was posted on September 19th, and that position, September 9th, and that position is refreshed every 2 weeks, so the posting is refreshed every 2 weeks. There are currently 2 applicants. Both candidates were interviewed, but they accepted positions elsewhere. And what we're getting feedback on is that may be a very difficult position to fill because it's a 1-year position. And folks these days, quite honestly, are looking for stability. But we'll keep you posted. We have a 7th grade special education position at Martin School. Again, the special education director and the principal, the hiring manager. There is one applicant, and that position is reposted or refreshed every 2 weeks. Junior ROTC instructor at Taunton High School. Again, that is one full-time equivalent. The Air Force ROTC director and the principal, they are the hiring manager. That position was posted on October 5th, and that is refreshed every 2 weeks. There are currently 2 candidates. Both were interviewed, but they did not meet the requirements set forth by the Air Force ROTC. Also, just to make the committee aware, we continue to advertise and refresh postings on the Taunton Public School website. We utilize Talent Ed, we utilize School Spring, we utilize the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents, we utilize Teachers Lounge, and Handshake. So once I have this in a more formalized format, I will share with you and make it part of the committee, but this was worked on within the last couple of days, and I didn't feel comfortable putting it on the table because it wasn't formalized yet. But you will receive this as part of the regular updates on staffing.
Thank you.
Sorry. The school committee forum. School committee forum, if, with your approval, the school committee forum will be held next Wednesday, which we have set. That'll start at 6 p.m. It's been advertised. The flyer is in your packet. I would like to also recognize our state championship softball team and our state championship baseball team prior to the meeting, because the students who are home from college will be going back prior to January 18th. So if the committee has no objections, we will recognize the softball and the baseball team, say at 5:30, and then we'll start our meeting immediately after. So they'll get all their awards and all the recognition they deserve prior to the meeting if the committee is comfortable with that.
Okay, seeing no objections?
Right, so we'll start that meeting at 5:30, so Wendy will post it for 5:30, and then we'll have our school committee forum at 6 o'clock. And regarding the school committee winter retreat, Mr. George was kind enough to refer a facilitator that I was able to speak with over break. The facilitator can lead the committee in work that we identified during our last meeting as being one of our goals. The facilitator recommends for the workshop that we discussed being one of our goals, that we start at 5 and end at 8. So I guess the question I would have is, do anyone on the committee have an issue? And we'll reach out to you tomorrow, Friday, and next week. We'll reach out to you, and you can look at your schedules between now and next week. If there's a conflict of having you attend from 5 to 8 p.m. That is when the PD, it'd be a 3-hour PD from 5 to 8 p.m. here in the library. And again, Mrs. Devine and I will reach out to you and do a survey to see who's available, and if we need to modify, we can modify. Ideally, she suggested 3 hours. It could be condensed into 2, but to get the full worth, the full value, she's recommending 3. And Mrs. Devine and I will work with you on that. And then as far as action items, I don't believe we have any action to take at this point, Mayor.
Okay.
Just let me double check real quick. No, I just provided you with the update. Yeah, no updates at this time.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent. There is no press present this evening, and I will take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, so voted. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.